Okay, we're going to be starting with the nation this morning. COVID-19 exposure in the UK. Buhari goes into isolation. JAMB heads of institutions to decide cut-off marks for the 2021-2022 admission. Tension over killing of Ondo-bound travelers in Jos. Contributors move 102.5 billion naira to new pension administrators. Not elders seek solution to regions' insecurity. Naira in mixed performance. VAT FIRS ask court to stay judgment execution. Buni lead APC governors to woo Ladoja in Ibadan. Let's start with major headline. Our president is isolated. Who has that story?
Yes, so according to Garba Show, this is according to, in compliance with the NCDC guidelines, the president and all those on his entourage that returned from the UK with him took the COVID test and are presently on isolation. The president also is on isolation because, according to them, he was exposed to COVID because of the journey. That's according to, but they did not say he tested positive.
So he was exposed to it.
So maybe someone on the entourage tested positive. So they are doing guidelines.
Wow. There should be a standard. It's not whether everybody tested positive. When you come back into a country from another country, that you're supposed to just isolate for at least a few days before. So I didn't know why he was making headlines.
But he's the president, so he has to make headlines. The Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, JAMB, and head of tertiary institutions are going to be having a policy meeting on August 31st, where they will decide the minimum cutoff mark for the 2021-2022 admissions. So the Minister for Education, Adamu, will be chairing this meeting. They said that last year, they, in collaboration with the Vice Chancellors of universities, rectors of polytechnics, and provosts of colleges of education, they pegged the minimum cutoff marks at 160. So for admissions into the university, 120 for polytechnics and 100 for colleges of education. But this meeting now will chart them a way, help them to chart a way forward for the policies and help them to evaluate what happened in the last admissions, and probably they will now find out the next cutoff mark. Okay.
I was going to take the story with it says the Northern elders seek solutions to regions' insecurity. So the former secretary to the government of the Federation, the SGF, Yayale Ahmed, is the convener of this meeting. He has called on 5 representatives from 19 northern states to come together. They're going to be having a meeting today to discuss the issues of insecurity, and they're going to be looking beyond what the government has done thus far concerning insecurity and see what else can they do within their own purview to help and support the government concerning insecurity in Nigeria.
Let me take the APC. PDP is alleging that APC has already put in machinery towards rigging of 2023 elections, specifically because they're saying that INEC has, as a body, has a right to carry out whatever decision will provide free and fair elections. And INEC currently hasn't been able to get approval for the e-transmission. And they said that they are waiting for the National Assembly to approve e-transmission before they purchase the equipment. PDP is alleging that this is a way to stall the implementation of e-transmission, that if INEC is an independent body, they should be allowed to carry out all, as they deem fit, to carry out their actions. They are also rejecting the bringing back of tolls, says that the government has enough to, if they prioritize appropriately, that instead of double taxation, and this is the wrong time to bring back tolls into the country. Moving
on to Daily Sun, Catholic bishops brand Nigeria world's most terrorized nation. Sit at home, Kanu's families denies interference in IPOB affairs. NDLA naps Italy-bound woman with 100 wraps of heroin at Lagos airport. UK trips Buhari others in quarantine, says presidency. Outrage over just killings. Otedola reveals how IBB advised Jonathan to assume Jaradua's duty before doctrine of necessity. Ulu of worry, squabble over secession, normal in kingdom, says Prince. Okay, which story are we taking, son?
I could do IPOB.
Yes.
So, there was a sit at home that was planned to be happening every Monday till the IPOB leader has been released by DSS. So, the younger brother to Nnamdi Kanu, Kanunta, made a statement and, sort of suspended the sit at home that was meant to happen. And so the IPOB, some of the leaders of IPOB were upset about it, and they talked about it. And so he had to do a statement through his spokesperson saying that they did not actually stop the sit at home. They did not cancel it. They did not interfere in the program of IPOB. They are actually a part of it, but they just had to do what they needed to do to furthermore strengthen the plan that they have. And they also went further to say that the conversations that they expect the IPOB leader to have with the federal government is not going to happen while he's still in jail. That if the federal government wants to have a conversation, he needs to be out of jail, and they need to have that conversation. And though they started something like this in 2017, but then he was chased and nearly killed, the reason that he ran away and went to another country. So we need to do it in a civil manner. Some other people are speaking. So I think the Igbo, yes, the Igbo national movement have advised IPOB to carry out their activities in a more decent way, to do things in a different manner. They should have negotiations, discussions with elders, and they shouldn't use any form of force. They should have proper conversations so that at least the federal government can listen and they will have like an agreement at the end of the day.
All right, so in the NDLA, in their continued nationwide offensive against drugs, they still caught a woman, Mrs. Nandi Nora Chire, who was caught with 100 wraps of heroin and 2 parcels of same substance at the departure hall, Murtala Mohammed here in Lagos. She was en route to Italy with these drugs. Also, interestingly, they also had a random search of exported items. And they also found, I think, 25.8 kilograms of cocaine and cannabis concealed inside foodstuff going to UK.
Yes.
So even those that, aside from those that are giving people to travel, they're also exporting it. So these are random searches, and NDLA has called those people. But I would like to use the opportunity to tell Nigerians that we had this conversation last week. Tomorrow we'll be having a guest from Heathrow, she works there, and she's going to help Nigerians understand what to look out for when you're packaging stuff and how they search for these kind of drugs. So it will be great for you to watch the show tomorrow.
Let me quickly take, those following the international story will know that Taliban have taken over Afghanistan, and there's a lot of people trying to evacuate their citizens. America is trying to evacuate their citizens. The reason I'm taking the story is because we know Nigerians are everywhere, and we would like to see, it won't be after some Nigerians now cry out and say they are stranded somewhere. Let's also be a bit proactive in rescuing our citizens, because I'm sure there are Nigerians serving there, and we've not heard anything from the Nigerian government on how they are trying to rescue
evacuate
our
their
own
people.
citizens there.
And the president has fled.
Yeah, the president fled. Yeah, he has to rescue his own life.
Nobody has the Catholic bishop story. Oh, I wanted to take that story, but I guess nobody. Okay, let's move on.
I took it, but it was a bit in.
Okay. Let's go on a break. Let me see what time it is. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with the review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're going to move on now to the Nigerian Tribune. Major headline, fatal death toll rises to 32. Government declares curfew. 21 army recruits die in auto crash in Jigawa. IBB asked Jonathan to sit on Yar'Adua's chair, says Otedola. INEC stoppage of e-voting machine purchase ploy to rig elections, says Secondus. 2023, Presidency Buhari associates search for Southern legacy candidate. Recover missing 17 billion naira tax within 90 days, Senate orders FIRS. And Taliban forces take over Afghanistan as president flees. Okay. Which story are we taking?
The human interest?
Let's start with the human interest story.
Yeah, so it said, story says 21 people that were new army recruits were confirmed dead when 2 vehicles ran into a culvert at Rabadi village, local government area of Jigawa State. Said the disease was seen to be from Kano State, and they were heading to Adamawa at midnight on Saturday when the incident occurred. So it happened, I think it was between, I wanted to get the name of the vehicle, one Hummer bus, which was conveying 18 passengers from Kano State to Adamawa, and another canter lorry that was carrying 3 passengers, though they don't know the destination. So they've been taken to the morgue. I think out of them, just 1 person was able to survive. Investigations are ongoing on what exactly happened.
Another really sad story, which is going to be our topic for today, but just to establish in Plateau the loss of 32 people who their convoy was interrupted. They were traveling to Ondo State, and on their way, they were interrupted by a group of people who went ahead to kill many of them. The gruesome video went online when pictures went viral. The state has already imposed a curfew. exams meant to take place within the University of Plateau has been suspended indefinitely. All the students within the university are told to stay within their facility until peace is restored. According to Tribune, they couldn't get a conversation with the police PRO as of the time of the report, but that they know that the police has deployed, officially released that they deployed a special intervention team around Plateau to calm the circumstances.
All right, so we're talking about that a bit more later. Femi Otedola, the billionaire businessman, was saying, as was felicitating with IBB, Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, for his 80th birthday. He'll be releasing a book. Otedola will be releasing a book in November. And in the book, he was mentioning how IBB had called him. No, actually, he went to visit IBB because of the logjam that happened when former President Yar'Adua was sick. I think it was 2010 when there was a logjam in the governance. And he then went to Babangida to ask him, as a businessman, what can they do to get Nigeria out of this? And he said, listen, when you get to Abuja next week, tell your friend that former President Jonathan to sit on the seat of the presidency, that because there is no president at the time, Yar'Adua was all the way in UK, and somebody had to take leadership of the country at the time. So he told him that when you get to Abuja next week, tell him to sit on the seat. And exactly what Jonathan did was to take charge of the NEC meeting at the time. Okay, let's move on to the point. Inside APC House of Commons, FG gets 500 billion naira for fresh investments in auto industry. Utomi Mailafia agree with Sanusi on failing economy. FG has scant regard for Niger Delta and says Ankyo bricks. Minister-Governor supremacy battle may consume APC in Kwara. Okay, what story are we taking? 500 billion naira?
Yeah, so the federal government, through the National Automotive Design and Development Council, has attracted over 500 billion fresh investments into the automotive industry. So this was confirmed by the officials of the NADDC. And the amount that was given was more to boost the capacity of our automobile companies in Nigeria. The investments was made by 20 automobile companies, Dangote Sinotruk, Innocent, PAN, Chery, Peugeot, Stallion Group, Hyundai, Honda, Elizade, Lanreshitu, JAC, Kojo Nord, Oma, Vista, Jet Systems, National Trucks Manufacturers, GAC, Kia, and Mikano Gili. Now, these companies are already producing, they are already assembling vehicles in Nigeria, and they have, combined installed capacity to produce over 400,000 vehicles every year. That's the plan. So this is good news, really.
All right. Who has the Utomi story? You have that story?
Utomi and Mailafia were simply agreeing with the former CBN president, Sanusi, who at his 60th was saying that the country's economy is 40 years stagnant or backwards. And they said, according to them, weak institutions, inconsistent policies, state capture, which displaced our healthy rivalry among ethnic groups on industrialization and, make Nigeria compete for along industrial lines. But Tommy particularly explained how the country was based on exports, of cash crops as our colonial, don't call them masters, left it. So,
colonialists. And
the ethnic groups started to build industries along those areas and continue to foster growth among ethnic competition. When you had the Yoruba people do cocoa, you had with cash crops. But we got to a point where we started these inconsistent policies, we started building more states, trying to, and all of those things displaced us. And I'd like to quote the former CBN president, who said...
CBN governor.
CBN governor, He said that, in 2014, GDP per capita on purchasing power was appreciated by 50% to $3,000, according to the World Bank. Yeah. But where we were in 2019 was $2,000. At this rate, in the next 2 years, in terms of purchasing power, the average income of Nigeria would have gone back to what it was in 1980 under the Shagari. So that means that 40 years, no progress. Even me, I was calculating it. So if you're traveling between the West African countries, there's a toll we used to pay then. It was 1,000 naira to the city and the CFA. It's still the same amount there, but
Based on our own currency.
Based on our currency, things have not improved. We're just rotating.
We have to run.
Every time the Naira weakens to the dollar.
Painful.
Moving on to Vanguard. He also said that really our entire problem, every single thing we're going through is because of economy.
Yes.
That the agitation, insecurity, all goes right back to the economy. We have to get that right. Moving on now to Vanguard. Just killings can trigger worse conflicts, Sultan warns. Convention, fresh crisis looms as PDP governors plot use of 2017 unity list. Serap to Buhari paid doctor salaries with 4.8 billion naira earmarked to monitor WhatsApp calls.
Yes, sir.
2021-2022 admission jam announces cutoff mark August 31st. Afghan president flees. I talked about that already. Otedola recount IBB, asks Jonathan to sit on Yar'Adua's chair. Why Boko Haram surrender puts Borno in difficult position, says Governor Zulum. And FG NARD face-off moves to industrial court today as strike continues.
So I have the FG and the National Association of Resident Doctors. So the unwillingness of the federal government made them go to the industrial court. And this morning, the National Association of Resident Doctors have agreed to appear before the industrial court, saying, although these matters could have been settled if the federal government were willing, but since they brought them, they are happy that, they are the industrial courts now. Hopefully we get good judgment and we get judgment that both sides or either side will be
able to settle. So the Socioeconomic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, yesterday are urging the President, Muhammadu Buhari, to urgently redirect the proposed spending of 4.8 billion of public funds to monitor WhatsApp messages, phone calls, and text messages of Nigerians to pay some of the salaries of the resident doctors in the country. They are saying that out of the new supplementary appropriation bill, they had earmarked about 893 billion. And out of that, 4.8 will be used to monitor conversations. And they're saying this is against the fundamental human rights, that every appropriation bill must conform to the Constitution. And what is against the fundamental human rights should be redirected, because there are a lot of vulnerable persons who would need good quality medical care that cannot access it in public, quality medical care that cannot access it in other hospitals apart from public hospitals. They don't have a choice than. So if that money is used to ensure that these resident doctors are paid, we'll be getting somewhere as against. So they sent this letter on the 14th of, dated 14th of August, and they're saying that if the federal government does not respond, they will take it further.
I missed the very important data here on Vanguard. It says domestic borrowing jumps to 20.6%, inches towards 4 trillion. So they get a quick breakdown. About 50% of that money, 2.31 trillion naira, is coming from the treasury bills. About, I think, 0.6 trillion is from the savings bond, and then the FGN bonds is about 1.6 trillion. Now, these are really, really hard economic issues, or domestic borrowing, how much and the debt.
And then in order of priority, we now want to use it to monitor when we have hospital bills.
Calls and phone calls.
So we really need to discuss issues of debt. Okay, News Direct. Commercial banks borrow 9.97 trillion from CBN in 7 months. FG plans to employ audit firm to disclose debt repayment, says Zachary. SEC reiterates commitment to clamp down on illegal capital market operators. Unilag VC calls for decentralization of TET fund. Deep Blue project, NIMASA will ensure proper maintenance of assets, says JAMO, and VAT collection. FRS files appeal against court judgments. Okay, which story are we taking there? Who has the FG to employ audit firms? Yeah, that story.
So the special assistant to the president of infrastructure was saying that, yes, that admitted that, they are owing the discourse. The federal government is owing the discourse, but now they need to get auditors to audit the amount owed and, advise on how the monies will be paid to the discos. So this is an admission of what the discos have been clamoring, that, they are being owed and this is affecting their services. And my fear is that, why do we need external auditors to audit money when we owe? We have the Accountant General's office. We have several accountants there we could have assigned to do this and just pay.
Another misplaced priority.
Exactly. Are they going to pay the external auditors? Are they doing it for free?
No, they won't do it for free.
Trying to be cutting down costs, because I don't get it. We always find a way.
There's a reason for it.
No, for every debt recovered, we have consultants. For every debt owed, we go seek a consultant.
The people where they pay, they don't do the work.
We still have consultants for the one. I don't get it.
We have to run soon. The Vice Chancellor, University of Lagos, Professor GOTV, has said that we need to decentralize TED Fund, which is the trust fund that's established to help universities in Nigeria. So he's saying that currently it's the funds are centralized and there's so much bureaucracy in getting our funds to actually help. So we need to decentralize such either having state chapters or regional chapters, I think. I'm not sure what he said, but we're saying that we must have either state chapters or regional chapters to make it easier for universities to have access to these funds.
I think in all sectors, once the center is too powerful, some people will not get the equal share of what should be available. So the same thing, make it available. Regionalize every situation so that people will not be complaining so much.
We have to run. Any story in The Guardian. Cargo issuance premium spike over untidy road access, seaports operations. Oh, Nima would have liked that story. Government places just on 24-hour indefinite curfew. Okay, so JOS is definitely on the hearts of many Nigerians this morning. We'll be talking about it a bit later. But first, when we go on a break, we'll come back with our hot topic. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.